ED props, what would you guys look at? So 13.5, but it's juice. It's not minus 150 everywhere. You could find like minus 130. I mean, it's not great, but that's what you're dealing with at this point. The points is 26.5. 26.5. Or you could do like some combination. I believe it's 41.5 for points and rebounds. And again, he's been averaging 30 and 16. So he's been averaging 46 in tournaments so far. And he's got a plus matchup. That's the other thing. It really is like a dominant player. And then the other team they're facing in the Final Four, like they're awful at rebounding. They really are. So how's that going to play out? Would you guys rather do rebounds or points and rebounds, I guess?
I think I'm
Probably
inclined
points
to
and
go with the
rebounds.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
inclined to
Combo?
go with the combo. He's had one game where he didn't have a double-double since March.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of March, I should say, and really just two since. Hold on, I'm scrolling all the way back now. He's had three since conference play started way back at the beginning of January. He's had 3 games where he didn't have at least a double-double. And the majority of those nights, yeah, you got to at least mid-30s, if not 40 on the combo. I think that's probably the play. If we've got an ED prop we like, it's points plus rebounds.
Yeah.
27 points, 14 boards, against Gonzaga. I mean, this guy, 30 points, 21 rebounds before that. I mean, he's just, yeah, I don't know if I'd want to bet unders on him either.
And no, anybody go inside? Because I'm thinking Purdue at the 8.5.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that
release,
8.5 is tempting. It's very tempting.
Uh-huh.
It's interesting to me that it's come down a half point or a point in some spots since last week. That where it's 8.5, it was probably 9, I imagine, earlier in the week. In other spots where it was 9.5 earlier in the week, it's down to 9. I don't know if that's again just the huge waves of North Carolina money we've seen throughout this tournament since they legalized betting just before the tournament started. I don't know.
Yep.
That starts to become, I think, a little bit coincidental, but maybe that's a reason.
It's a Final Four
that's
games.
curious to me.
So it's going to get a ton of money no matter what, a ton of bets.
Yeah.
And all the sports books are saying that NC State is the public dog between the two. And that makes sense. I mean, who's going to go against the UConn train? Nobody, certainly not the public.
Mm-hmm.
And they've fallen in love with Burns and a little bit of Horn too. And just the whole NC State story. You get the 11 seed making this run. And then people, I think they're just used to fading Purdue. So if we're going to go with one dog here, they're going NC State.
Yeah.
I don't hesitate to go against that.
Grant Nelson over 9.5 points, which I don't like. Mark Sears over 2.5 made threes, which Paul brought up yesterday. I really like. Donovan Clingan over 15.5 points. I like that one too. But Sears over 2.5 3-pointers, you get there any which way. 6 of his last 7 games, he's hit that. All 4 tournament games to this point, he's hit that. The only time he didn't hit it in the last month was the one SEC tournament game, which they lost. Because if they're somehow surprising UConn and staying in this game, well, yeah, we're gonna find Sears for open threes. And if they're trailing, well, yeah, we're gonna run and chuck. Sure, whatever the scenario is, Paul. That's Sears over the 2.5. I absolutely love that one.
I'm with you on that part, but I think if there is an underdog, I would bet on Alabama, just hoping that like something goes their way. They're hitting everything and they could keep it somewhat close. Not saying I'm going to bet plus 530 money line, but that would be, maybe I should sprinkle that. But plus 11.5 for the best number that you can find. I like it for Alabama, just banking on the fact that it scares me a little bit that both with the men and the women, it seems like it could be chalky. So for me, I feel like I'm forcing it. Like, which underdog do I think could cover? And I think it's Alabama.
Adam Schefter says the Commanders prefer Jaden Daniels over Drake May. kind of leaned into it a little bit more than just saying they prefer Jaden Daniels, though. On his podcast recently, he said, I know we're not supposed to spoil picks, and we'll see how the Commanders decide to move forward. But a little over a few weeks out, I think the signs continue to point to Jaden Daniels being the second overall pick. He said, I think Jaden Daniels is someone who really appeals to the Commanders. It's hard for me today to see him sliding much past pick number 2, so let's pencil him in there. I think that's how it's stacking up a few
How many
weeks out.
caveats there? How
There's
many
some caveats. Yeah,
Like
there's a few side dishes of caveats. But it's also as close, I think, as you'll get Schefter to not guaranteeing anything, but saying, hey, this is what it's going to be. He's been wrong before. Insiders always are, especially on the draft. But I do think that it just makes a ton of sense that Daniels is the number 2. Drake May would be the other distinct possibility here. May is plus 110, Daniels minus 110 at BetMGM to end up being that second overall pick. And then you slide back to J.J. McCarthy at 650. That can't be the pick. I'm sorry. It can't be. It's Daniels or May, Aaron, right? I mean, you're there in the Commanders' backyard. It's one of these, either one of these two. The fan base, I think, the franchise can feel pretty good about moving forward with. I just don't know what the delineator is at this point. What makes you decide Daniels over May, May over Daniels? Is it arm talent? Is it ceiling? Is it floor, maybe?
Yeah, that's the question. It seems to be back and forth and conflicting information going back and forth between Drake May and Jaden Daniels. I think the fan base would want Jaden Daniels, but that doesn't mean like what the people want is what the talent evaluators in the front office will do. And as Joe pointed out, with Adam Schefter being wrong before, now I'm starting to think maybe it will be Drake May. Because I do trust Brad Spielberger and he likes him at 2. But I really don't know what's gonna. It's a mystery to me right now, Joe.
The noise. Why would this come out now? A couple weeks out makes me think that it's wrong. That's the tough part. Okay, so let's go back to how this was released. If this was that rock solid, wouldn't he tweet it to his millions of followers and get thousands upon thousands of shares and all that? Wouldn't he say it on one of the 80 TV shows he appears on a weekly basis on ESPN? Why is it kind of like flying under the radar on a podcast? Slip much past 2 either. Like that could be 3. That could be 4. Everybody knows that he's not going to slip much past 2. Like a lot of it was he's not saying anything here. Just that Washington likes him, but it doesn't mean that they're going to make him the franchise quarterback. So I'm not overreacting, and I'll say that the betting market is not overreacting, because you would think when you see headlines, oh, Adam Schefter says that the Commanders are going to go Daniels number 2, that the market went haywire. No, minus 140 to be the number 2 pick. That's it. It is not a Caleb Williams situation where he's minus 8,000 to go to the Bears, because everybody knows that's happening. This really doesn't change anything for me. And I would bet that we're going to see a bunch of reports from big name people that say May to Washington over the next couple of weeks. We know how this goes, especially when you get here. Lying season's been underway for a while, and it's going to continue until we're done with the draft.